Welcome back to part 2 of building these western buildings for Malifaux. If you haven't seen part 1, I would recommend jumping over and watching the part 1 where we built it. But if you're just interested in the painting, this is where we're at. So here's the finished building. I did base coat it in black. I just used black primer just to make it simple and easy. I always like starting these my western buildings or anything that's a dark brown with a black starting. So then I just start with a really dark brown. I don't remember the exact color, but whatever you have that's a nice dark brown. And then while I'm doing a, I don't want to say a dry brush. This is actually, I am actually painting. I'm going to get a little bit closer of a view for you. And just painting it on. It will darken up after it starts drying, so that's good. And then I'm also, because these are square and I do want to catch some of the details, I am actually painting this on at an angle on each of the sides. And we'll just paint through the whole thing. And you know, anywhere where it's those outside sticks or the bigger planks that you want to be one color. After that's dried, I just flip the thing over, just so I can keep painting at the same angle. But basically the idea here is that I painted it at one angle the first time, and I'm using the same color with the same thinness of the paint at the other angle. This will help get rid of a lot of or pretty much most of the paint strokes, to be honest. And it works pretty good. So just do that over the whole building. After we're done there, I'm just getting a lighter shade of brown. Again, water it down a little bit, and just basically do the exact same thing. You just don't quite need as much paint, but I'm still doing the angled painting as much as I can. I'm just taking a little bit more time, not using quite so broad strokes. I'm staying within the thing a little bit, and then certain sections of the building, or even certain planks, I will put more paint down on that section or that plank, and that is just to make some of the planks look like they're lighter at this color than some of the other planks. But go fun with it, go nuts. Just do whatever you think looks right. Just remember that let the paint dry before you can tell what you've done so far and how it's going to look, because it'll always look a little different while it's still wet. But that pretty much goes for you. After you got that done, I'm just going to use another lighter shade of brown for the decking, and anything that I want to be a different color than the whole outside of the building. And this is just a dry brush. I'm just painting it out, drying it off, and then rubbing it on just to catch the tips and the highlights. And it definitely lightens it up, so it's exactly what I want. And I'm here's doing the door, and I'll do the window as well, just to so it's not all one color. It's all going to be one color because it's all brown, but to make different shades of brown. I'm not being really careful here. I'm definitely getting some paint onto the panels on the side, but I'm not super worried about that because I can just cover that back up with some more brown. Here I didn't point it out in the build, but I did build a door for the back as well, just the same way as the front. So, and just like I said, just make sure you get in there. And this brush I'm using is a really old stiff brush, so it makes getting into the cracks and everything work pretty good. And here I am just getting some of that darker brown and touching up the areas where I went a little crazy on the side. I guess this is kind of the mid-grade brown, but just go back and forth between the two browns you've already used to cover it up. If it looks really bad, you could always go back to black if you really needed to, but I think I still turned out pretty good. So here's the building. As you can see, I think the planks, that color looks exactly the way I wanted, so I didn't go another lighter shade, but you definitely can, depending on how dark or light you want the building to be. That's where your own decision comes in. So here I have this metallic silver paint, and I'm just painting that pipe with that silver color. Okay, the next thing I'm going to get is, this is just some black paint, and I'm going to touch up the entire top. I kind of decided to myself that I wanted the tops of my buildings to be tar, since it's a flat building. I live in Kansas now. We have flat buildings here, and when you have a flat building, you tar the building. So that's why I decided I wanted the top to be it's like they tarred the top of the buildings. Okay, the next thing we're going to work on is going to be these windows. So I'm just taking that black and working it into all the window spots. And this is because I am going to color the windows blue, but I don't want to start with the blue over that brown. I want it to be re-blacked out. So that's what this is. And then where my doorknobs are at, I need to retouch up on those. So again, it's re-blacked on those. So that's a pretty good angle. Okay, so now I just have some dark blue paint, and I'm just being careful, using a little bit smaller of a brush, and I'm painting the whole window pane blue. Again, once it dries, it'll soak into that black a little bit and darken up, which is perfect, exactly what I wanted to do. But just take your time here, because if you do get a lot of blue over the browns, it'll be a little bit of cleanup work. Me filming, it makes it a little bit harder to stay within lines, but you can do it a lot better if you don't have a camera over your shoulder. So the next thing I did is I got a lighter blue, and I am making some crescent shapes along the bottom corners of each of the pane. And that's, again, just a little bit, it's actually quite a bit lighter of a blue, but it'll work pretty good. So just kind of get those angles right there. And then the next thing is to use, of course, an even lighter shade of blue and a smaller brush and do the very corners of each of the panes, so to give it a little bit of a gradient light. And then now I have some white, and I'm making a dot on each of the windows. It's the same effect you'd use for a gemstone, and I'm just using it on the window panes themselves. And then I got the silver doorknob. So here's the town after I made 6 of the buildings, and along with the gallows. And thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if some suggestions for other things you would like me to build. Thanks for watching.